My dear friends, if you are between the ages of 50 and 80, I want you to pause whatever you're doing and truly hear these next words. Life is not the same as it once was. The roads you've walked are longer than the roads that lie ahead, and yet your heart still longs for meaning, your mind still seeks peace, and your soul still hopes for joy. There comes a moment in every life when we stop and ask ourselves, what have I learned? What have I given? And what do I still want to do with the time I have left? These are not questions for the young. They are questions for those of us who have lived long enough to know that every sunrise is a gift, and every day carries its own quiet lesson. Today, I will share with you 5 powerful life truths messages that have the strength to transform not just your thinking, but your destiny. These are not theories from books, but reflections forged in the fire of real human experience. They are drawn from a lifetime of observing, listening, and learning from those who have walked the difficult paths before us. Before we begin, I invite you, if you value wisdom, if you believe your later years can be the richest chapter of your life, to subscribe to this channel and stay with me until the very end of this video. Because I promise, somewhere in these words, you will find something that speaks directly to your heart. So, take a deep breath. Set aside your worries for just a few minutes. Let us walk together through these 5 messages that may help you see your own life with new eyes and a calmer heart. 1. Life's worth is not measured in years, but in what you give. Too often, we measure our lives by the wrong ruler. We count the years, the birthdays, the decades, and somewhere along the way, we start to believe that the length of our days is the true measure of our worth. But my friends, the truth is far simpler, and far more profound. It is not how long you live that matters, but what you give in the time you are given. I have met people who lived into their 90s yet left the world with little more than their name on a gravestone. And I have met others whose time was painfully short 40 years, 30 years, sometimes even less, yet their memory lives on in the hearts of everyone they touched. Why? Because they used their days to make a difference. They left behind kindness, love, and lessons that no passing of time could erase. When you understand this truth, something shifts inside you. You stop fearing the calendar. You stop counting how many birthdays might still be left. Instead, you start asking, what can I do today to make my being here matter? I remember meeting a man named Thomas in a small coastal town in Maine. He had been diagnosed with a terminal illness at 72. The doctors gave him less than 2 years to live. At first, he was devastated. He told me, I thought the best years were already behind me. But instead of surrendering to despair, he made a choice, one that still inspires me to this day. He began volunteering at a local shelter, reading to children, repairing broken furniture, and cooking warm meals for those who had no home. Every morning, he would wake up and say, if this is the last day I'm given, I will fill it with something good. Thomas lived 3 more years longer than expected. But what mattered wasn't the extra year the doctors didn't count on. What mattered was that those 3 years were the fullest, richest, and most meaningful years of his life. And when he finally passed away, the funeral hall could not hold all the people whose lives he had touched. This is what I mean when I say that the measure of a life is not in its length but in its depth. The days will pass regardless of what we do with them. The choice we have is whether we will spend them in regret and fear, or in purpose and generosity. And here's something worth remembering. Every morning you wake up, no matter your age, is proof that you still have something left to give. It doesn't have to be grand or extraordinary. It might be a kind word to a neighbor, a phone call to someone you haven't spoken to in years, a helping hand to a stranger. Because in the end, life is not about how many breaths you take, but about how many moments take your breath away and how many moments you create for others to remember. 2. Cleanse the heart, and life feels lighter. The world we live in is not always gentle. Over the years, each of us collects a certain dust upon the soul: resentments, disappointments, betrayals, and fears. These are not physical burdens, yet they weigh more heavily than any load we could carry on our back. And if we do not learn to cleanse our hearts, that weight can slowly crush our joy. When you were a child, your heart was pure. You laughed without holding back. You trusted easily. You found wonder in the smallest things: a butterfly landing on your hand, the sound of rain on the roof, the smell of fresh bread in the kitchen. But life, with its storms and struggles, can dim that light. We start to grow cautious. We shield ourselves from hurt. We stop opening up. What we don't realize is that protecting ourselves too much can make the heart grow cold. And a cold heart does not feel deeply. It doesn't rejoice fully. It forgets how to forgive, and in forgetting, it also forgets how to be free. I once worked with a woman named Eleanor, 78 years old, a retired nurse who had spent decades caring for others. She came to me one afternoon and said, "I feel heavy all the time. I don't know why. I have no real problems, but I'm always tired inside." As we talked, I learned that she still carried old grievances people who had wronged her 20, 30, even 40 years ago. She had never let go. And with every remembered wound, her heart had grown heavier. We started a simple practice. Every morning, before her coffee, she would sit quietly and name one hurt she was ready to release. Some days it was a small one, a careless comment from a friend. Other days, it was a deep wound, like forgiving a family member who had abandoned her in a time of need. She told me, "It's like sweeping the floor of my heart. The dust keeps coming, but I sweep it away before it piles up." Within months, Eleanor's eyes looked brighter. She smiled more. She began gardening again, baking bread for her neighbors, and even dancing at the community center. "It's lighter inside," she said. I didn't realize how much space those old hurts were taking up. My friends, cleansing the heart is not about denying pain. It is about deciding that pain will not own you. It is about choosing to live free, even if the world has not always been fair. Let go of grudges. Release the pettiness. Keep what is good: kindness, compassion, generosity, and sweep the rest away. Because a clean heart does not just lighten your steps, it brightens your days. And at our age, every bright day is worth cherishing. 3. Let go of small battles, and peace will follow. It's one of the hardest lessons to learn, especially as we get older, that not every fight is worth fighting. We live in a world that encourages us to chase more, demand more, and protect what is ours at all costs. But in the quiet wisdom of age, many people come to realize something important. The price of peace is often the willingness to walk away from battles that do not matter. I have sat with countless older adults, veterans, teachers, business owners, parents who told me the same thing in different words. I wish I had let more things go. They weren't talking about giving up on their dreams or standing down when something truly mattered. They were talking about the countless small disputes, misunderstandings, and grievances that had stolen their time and happiness. One man I knew, Richard, had spent nearly 15 years fighting with his neighbor over a fence line that was, at most, 6 inches off from where the surveyor said it should be. 15 years of complaints, legal letters, and angry silences. And one day, as he sat in the hospital recovering from heart surgery, he told me, "I wasted so much life on something so small. I can't get those years back." When you step back and look at the bigger picture, you see how often we trade our peace for pennies. We let money, pride, and ego drag us into arguments that leave everyone poorer. In my work, I have found that the happiest people in their later years are not the ones who won the most arguments. They are the ones who learned how to choose their battles and often, to choose none at all. They understand that walking away is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is knowing that the energy you save by avoiding one small fight can be spent on something that truly matters: your health, your family, your passions, your peace of mind. I remember a conversation with a woman named Maria, 81 years old, who had been married for over 50 years. She told me, "In our first 10 years together, I argued with my husband about everything: how to fold the laundry, how to load the dishwasher, even how to tell a story. And then one day, I asked myself, if I won every single one of these arguments, what would I actually win?" The answer was nothing worth keeping. Since then, Maria decided to let go of the small battles. She said it gave her marriage 50 more years of laughter and companionship instead of bitterness. So here's my invitation to you. The next time you feel the urge to argue about something small, pause. Ask yourself, will this matter in a year? Will this matter in 5 years? If the answer is no, maybe the best gift you can give yourself is to simply let it go. Because at this stage of life, peace is not a luxury, it is a necessity. And every battle you avoid is a victory for your own heart. 4. Patience is power, not weakness. In a culture that rewards quick responses, fast results, and immediate gratification, patience is often misunderstood. Many see it as passivity or weakness, as if waiting means you've given up. But in truth, patience is one of the strongest, most strategic tools you can carry through life. When I think of patience, I think of a man I once knew named Harold, a retired craftsman who built furniture by hand. Harold used to say, "The wood decides the pace, not me." If the wood was too wet, he waited for it to dry. If it was too brittle, he worked more slowly, respecting its limits. In his eyes, Forcing the process only led to cracks and breakage. Life is much the same. When we rush to act on anger, when we respond before thinking, when we insist on having things our way right now, we often cause cracks in relationships, in opportunities, and in our own peace of mind. I have seen this lesson play out in families. A son says something disrespectful to his father in a moment of frustration. The father, feeling wounded, reacts with equal force. Words fly like arrows, and soon there is a wall between them. But I have also seen fathers pause, take a breath, let the moment pass, and then return to speak with their sons in a calmer tone. That choice doesn't erase the problem, but it opens the door for resolution instead of escalation. Patience is not about doing nothing. It is about choosing when to do something. It is about knowing that the right action at the wrong time is still the wrong action. In my years of counseling older adults, I have often noticed that those who cultivate patience live with less regret. They are not constantly apologizing for words spoken in haste. They are not repairing damage caused by reckless reactions. They understand that silence can be a form of wisdom, and waiting can be a form of strength. There's an old saying, if you want a cup to be filled, you must lower it below the teapot. That lowering is patience. It is humility. It is recognizing that to receive, whether it is love, wisdom, or opportunity, you sometimes must set aside pride and make space for it. Patience also changes how we see time. When you stop rushing, you notice more. You see the kindness in a stranger's eyes. You hear the song of a bird outside your window. You taste your coffee instead of just drinking it. Life stops feeling like a race and starts feeling like a gift. And perhaps that is the greatest strength of patience. It returns us to the present moment. It keeps us from living in the constant push toward what's next, and instead invites us to live in what's now. So, the next time you feel your heart racing and your voice rising, pause. Breathe. Wait. Patience will not make you weak. It will make you wise. And wisdom, especially in our later years, is a treasure no one can take away. 5. Hold on to your childlike heart. We spend our lives chasing responsibility, building careers, raising families, and meeting the demands of the world. Along the way, something precious often slips from our hands, the lightness of spirit we had as children. Think back to when you were young. Do you remember the way you could lose yourself in a game, the way you laughed until your sides hurt, the way you believed the world was full of possibility? Somewhere along the road, many of us traded that innocence for caution, worry, and a sense of constant seriousness. I once met a woman named Evelyn, age 74, who told me, I didn't realize I'd lost my joy until I tried to play with my granddaughter and found I didn't remember how to be silly anymore. That realization broke her heart and also woke her up. She began taking small steps to reconnect with that childlike wonder. She painted again, even though she wasn't good at it. She danced in her kitchen while making dinner. She said yes when her grandchildren asked her to join them on the floor to play. The change was remarkable. Her friends noticed her lighter step. Her laughter came easier. And she told me, I feel more alive now than I have in decades, not because my body is younger, but because my spirit is. Holding on to your childlike heart does not mean being naive. It means refusing to let the burdens of life harden you. It means staying curious, allowing yourself to be amazed, and giving yourself permission to find joy in the simple things: a sunrise, a song, a conversation, a shared meal. It also means being able to forgive quickly, the way children do. Think of how a child can argue with a friend and, minutes later, be laughing together again. As adults, we carry grudges for years, even decades. But when we release them, we free ourselves. At this stage of life, the world may expect us to be wise, serious, and measured, and yes, those qualities have their place. But never let them crowd out playfulness, laughter, and wonder. Because when we lose those, we lose the very color of life. So I ask you, what is one small, joyful thing you can do today? Something that serves no purpose other than to make your heart light? Do it. And do it often. Because in the end, the quality of our days matters far more than the count of our years. My friend, life after 50, 60, or even 80 is not about holding on to everything, it's about holding on to the right things. Patience, peace, kindness, gratitude, and a childlike heart, these are treasures that will never lose value. You have just walked with me through 5 reflections that I believe can change a life at any age, but especially in the later years when time feels more precious. Perhaps you have recognized your own story in these words. Perhaps you feel a nudge to live a little differently starting today. If this conversation has touched you, I invite you to keep walking this path with me. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the next video, where we will explore more lessons that can bring peace, joy, and meaning to your days. Share this video with someone who needs to hear these truths, and let me know in the comments which of these 5 messages spoke to your heart today. Your thoughts matter, and your voice could inspire someone else who is listening. And remember, life is short, but it can also be rich, full, and beautiful if we choose it to be. Thank you for spending this time with me. Stay tuned for more videos filled with timeless wisdom and gentle guidance for your journey.